live is going live in a second. It says I'm live, right? Let's see if it goes live everywhere else. Hopefully. All right, we're live on YouTube. I'm going to grab this link and I'm going to copy it and put it on the LinkedIn just in case LinkedIn Live doesn't work. Oh, I'm live on LinkedIn too. Look at this. All right, so this is working today. I'm excited. So if I'm looking up, it's because I have two big screens going on and too many screens. How's that? So you guys can interact with me on LinkedIn or on YouTube. I'm trying to manage my screens here, or on TikTok. So this is the beauty of technology, being able to be in multiple places at once. So that's fun. Welcome everyone. I hope that you guys are having a great Friday. And like I said, today we're going to be exploring a unique use case with ChatGPT. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully, guys, this will work because I'm using the web version of OBS. So let me do this. Okay, I'm going to start my screen share and we're going to go to, I'm going to share my window. So it's going to get a little wild in a minute just because you're going to see a bunch of different windows just pop up. So give me a second. All right, so you should be seeing a bunch of different windows popping up. And I'm going to move this screen over. And let's see if that updates now and you see what I want you to see. Oh, I don't know. All right, let's stop that share. This is just crap. I'm just telling you. So I want to share my full screen. Well, let's share entire screen. We're going to do screen one. Okay, there we go. All right. So now you should all be seeing, we're all on the same page now. So we're going to be exploring a use case with ChatGPT where we're going to use ChatGPT as a learning tool. And so with that learning tool, what we're really going to do, what we're aiming for is we're going to use ChatGPT as a coach. And this is where it has some different kind of use cases that you may not have seen. I know everyone's trying to figure out like how do we use ChatGPT and all that other stuff. So before I begin, let's just do a little background on ChatGPT. So there are two types of AI. There's classifier AI and there's generative AI. Classifier AI is AI that can tell if something's like a cat or a dog, right? And it can identify it based on a picture. It can tell you, oh, that's a cat, that's a dog. It can't do anything else beyond that. Then there's the generative AI, and that's the AI that can create something that doesn't even exist. Like I shared in one of my videos, like let's say a dog with a unicorn horn or, flying elves or whoever. And it's using that, you can generate that from text, meaning you enter text, the AI can take that and turn it into something. So you can create videos, you can create transcripts, you can create images, you can create music now, you can create book chapters. There's so much that you can do with it. So we're going to look at a special use case that I've been playing with, and I'm going to show you some of the things that I've been struggling with ChatGPT also as I'm exploring these use cases. But I'm going to share. So let's first look at this here is a Google Doc where I have this prompt that I've written out. Right. So what I want to do is I want to use ChatGPT to help me practice a skill or hone in on a skill that I have learned. And it's cool that it can do this, right? That it can allow us to practice this skill. So I'm going to close my video here and I'm going to just make my screen bigger. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to ChatGPT. And I want to show you how this works. I'm refreshing just because it's been sitting idle. But I have been playing around with this idea of creating a prompt where ChatGPT can play a role and I can play a different role. So I have a guide here that I've created. I'm going to For those of you who are on LinkedIn or on YouTube, I'll provide you access to this. I'm going to just do it. Anyone with the link can view. I'm going to paste this into the chat. If you're on TikTok, I will post a chat in my link tree after this session. So I'm going to try and limit this also to 30 minutes. So basically, with this, this is just a guide as to using ChatGPT as a learning tool. And this is what I've been playing with. So let's go into ChatGPT. And I tell you here, the first thing we're going to do is we want to find out if ChatGPT knows about a specific subject that we want to address. So one scenario that I'm going to do is, and for my friends over at Ken Blanchard, this might be an interesting use case for you. So I'm going to ask ChatGPT, do you know about Ken Blanchard's SL2 leadership model? Let's see what it says. Hopefully it doesn't time out. Okay. So tell me, hey, yeah, I do know about Ken Blanchard's SL2 model. Okay, great. So because it's telling me it knows about the SL2 model, I don't have to give it additional information. Like I don't have to give it some context as to what I'm looking for. So now what I can do is I have a scenario here, or not a scenario, I have a request here where I say, okay, so like in this document, you'll see like if it doesn't know, if it tells you like, I don't know anything about that, you can feed it information. But we're going to jump to this prompt here. And I have some samples that I've written out. And this is a prompt that I wrote out for this specific scenario. And you can see it's a detailed prompt. So I'm going to paste that in here. So what I'm asking it to do is I'm telling it, listen, I want to practice how to use the SL2 model, and I want you to be my SL2 instructor. So I gave it a role. I'm telling the AI, I want you to play this role. And I want you to create a detailed simulation of a real world scenario where I have to use the SL2 model in a business setting with people from different backgrounds. And then I tell it, you'll be the role of the employee. I'll be the role of the leader who must use SL2, right? So I'm giving it like context for the scenario I'm looking for. And then I'm telling it, to ask me, ask for my response in each scenario, at each step of the scenario. Let's be specific here. In each step of the scenario, because words matter and how you put it in here matters. And then I tell it to wait until it receives my response. And then after getting my response, I want it to give me details of what the employee does and says based on my reply. And then at the end of the scenario, I want it to evaluate me and tell me like, how could I have improved? So let's go here. And then I tell like, give me another scenario. Make it harder if I pass or make it easier if I fail. So let's press enter here. Let's see what it comes up with. All right. So it's creating a simulation for me. Now notice I did not tell it what the simulation should be. I mean, I gave it some context, right, for what I'm expecting the simulation to do. And so now it's giving me a scenario, and let's see what it's telling me. It says, it gave me a scenario. So I'm a leader in a software company. I have a new team member. He recently joined the company, has no prior experience in software development, and has been assigned to lead a new project. And you need to use the SL2 model to help John develop and grow as a software developer. So it says, the first thing it's asking me is, what leadership style would you use to interact with John based on his current development? So if you look up here, I'm familiar with SL2. So this is great. So I would say, so D2 is his style. S2 would be kind of like the leadership style that you would use. And I think I pulled that up. Let's look at this. I was playing around with this before. And so here we go. So in the Ken Blanchard model, which is interesting, right? So the leadership style, I can pick from one of these leadership styles. These are the development levels. So he's a D1 because he's new. And I would need to match my leadership style to his development style. But I'm going to give it the wrong answer. I'm going to say I'm going to use a D4 leadership style. I'm sorry, S4 leadership style. I tell him, I think I'm going to tell you, I think John is John is a D3. I'm going to use an S2. Let's see what it tells me. Okay, so it says, now that you've determined his development style level and chosen your leadership style, here's the scenario. So it's not telling me if I'm wrong or right just yet, right? So it says, you and John are starting a new project. What would you say to John to motivate him to take on this new challenge? So it says, please provide a response such as, I would say to John. Okay. So let's see. I would, and I'm not going to give him that exact response. Say to John, you know how to code. You don't need direction. You'll be fine. I put this in quotes because this is me saying it. You'll be fine. Holler if you have any problems. So it's coaching me through a scenario, which is really interesting that it knows how to do this coaching, right? And John says, so it gives me a response. Good. Now let's see how John responds. Thank you for your confidence in me. I will do the best on this project, right? So it says a few days into the project, John continues to come to you with a problem, and he's having in a particular coding issue. How will you respond to John, and what leadership style will you use in this situation? So then it says here, it gives me like a prompt as to like how I could respond. So I'm going to say, let's see, I would use a S4 leadership style. Okay, D4 leadership style. Because John should know what he's doing. He went to school for this. Okay. And say, John, what's the problem? You're taking longer than expected. I feel that you may not be a fit for the role. Mind you, it's asking me to like provide the feedback, and it's giving me some hints, right, as to like, hey, like maybe you want to take a different approach. So let's see what it does now. So I like that it can take the role of another party, and it can interact with me based on my responses, right? And so John says, I apologize for the delay. I've been having trouble with this specific coding issue, but I think I figured it out now. Can I have more time to implement my solution? So I would say, now I'm going to say, I would use a D1 leadership style and say, John, I'm taking you off the project and putting Margie in charge. She has more experience, and I'm afraid you may not be a good fit. I will create a development plan for you. let's meet in 1 hour. Okay. I'm being a douchey manager here in this scenario. Let's see what it says. So John says, hey, can you give me more specific feedback on what I need to work on? How can I improve? How you respond to John's request. Okay, let's done together. You may not be a good, okay. So I'm getting a network error now. So let me just refresh. Let's go back to it. Okay. Let's generate again. So it's getting better, the ChatGPT. So now if you notice, it does require you to log in several times before it will, before it craps out. Like it's asking people to now like log in and, verify that you're a human, which I think is super interesting with this right now. Okay, so it gave me some things. I'm going to say, John, you're fired. Let's fire John. Okay, so hold on. Let's go back up. I said, I would use a D1 leadership style and say, John, we are letting you go. Oops. Let's see. I'm going to put this in quotes. You have not formed expectations. And guys, don't be, if you're a manager, please don't do this to people. Don't be abusive to people. But let's see how this works out for us. You can go back to your desk. You can go back to your desk and pack up your things. Now, I'm being such a hard ass with John, but I want to see if we can break this. Let's see. Not break it, but what kind of feedback we get from it. Okay, so now it's giving me feedback based on my approach. And I think this is super interesting. So it ran me through a scenario, and now it's giving me feedback and saying, hey, like, sorry, but this response doesn't align to the SL2 model, and the SL2 model focuses on developing followers, not terminating their employment. Additionally, this response is overly abrupt and lacks empathy and professionalism. This is a more appropriate response using the SL2 model in this situation would be to have used a D1 leadership style and say to John, I'm concerned about the progress you've made on the project. Let's schedule a meeting to discuss your performance. So this is really interesting that it's giving me, like, it just did not like the way that I was interacting with John in this scenario. So it gave me that feedback. So now it's saying, let's try the scenario again and see if you can use the SL2 model more effectively. So this is a use case for using ChatGPT to help someone hone in on a skill. So I've created some other ones here that I worked on. Let me just see if I can show you another one. Okay, let's go over here. Let's see if I can show you another one that I worked on. So this one, I have typos in here and everything, but it's still understood. So I'm gonna, so right here, it's, I'm an instructional designer, and I want to do deliberate practice on how to do a needs analysis for training. And I ask it to be my teacher and create a simulated scenario for corporate training request. I tell it, you're going to be the requester. I'll be the instructional designer. Ask me for my responses. Give me details. And then, I tell them, give me a harder scenario if I do well, or easier scenario if I fail. So this was the scenario it gave me, where it says, it gives me like the background of the scenario, and then it breaks it down into steps. and it asked me for a response. And I responded like very high level on some of these. And my friend Nicole from Your Instructional Designer, I thought about her while I was doing this because she is like a whiz at doing training needs analysis. But this here is just another way. Let me make this bigger so all of you can see. Okay, so hopefully you can all see this. But it gave me a scenario, and then it says, what would you say to the business owner in response to the request? And so I just put like in one answer in here, which is a question. I answered the question with a question. And that it gave me some additional information. I did some inputs. It gave me the steps, like proposing the solution. Notice this, it gave me steps: gathering information, your response to the request, and then negotiating and finalizing the solution. I made sure that this was really short. But what was interesting is that in here I put down that I would use the Pomodoro method training. I would offer Pomodoro method training for employees to learn how to manage their time. And it said, okay, great. Can you give me more information on that? So I thought that was really interesting that it did that in this, as you're using ChatGPT as a way to build your skills and practice a specific skill set, communication skill set, it's really interesting that it has this ability to be able to come up with scenarios, evaluate what you're saying, and then respond in very specific ways. And as I said, I created a Google Sheet here. I put the link in LinkedIn Live and on the YouTube Live for you to access. If you're on TikTok, I will add this link to my link tree so you guys can access it. It's basically the steps that I used to create these scenarios for ChatGPT. So let's do something else. Let's do one more just really quick. I don't know anything about like cars or like automotive. So let me ask, I'm going to ask it first. What do you, okay, not what do you know? Do you know, oh, let's ask about Kaizen, about the Kaizen method. Let's see what it says. So Kaizen is a project management, business management, organizational continuous improvement kind of thing. Okay, so it tells me, hey, I am familiar with the Kaizen method. And even though I misspelt it, it knew what I was talking about. Okay, great. So I can tell it, I can go in here, and so I give you a model of what a prompt should look like. So you can take this model that I provide here, and you can fill in wherever it says X, 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 Y, Z, X, Y. You can then go in and modify that. I'm going to show you one scenario that I was kind of putzing around with was this one here. So the language that I use, before I go into the Kaizen method one, let me show you over here. So the language that I used in this one here, it's similar to the language I used in that SL2 scenario that I just showed you. But what it did instead is it gave me a scenario, right? And then it gave me the steps, and it provided answers, and it waited for my response. But there was another one. Where did I put it? Was it here? Yeah, this one. So the way I worded this one, I think it threw it off a little. And so what it did is it gave me the scenarios, but it gave me my responses also. So it didn't wait for me to respond. It just responded for me. So it showed me like how I should respond. But that was it. Like it didn't give me a prompt. It didn't let me like, it didn't ask me questions and then wait for my response. So I had to kind of tweak this a little bit for it to work, which is really interesting also because this was a great learning exercise for me around like this whole prompt engineering thing. And if you've watched any of my TikTok videos, you know that there are now many prompt engineers in the world who are claiming to be prompt engineers. I am not a prompt engineer. I am playing around with this to see how we can use it more effectively in different learning scenarios. And so I think it's really interesting that we have the ability to do this. and that ChatGPT is able to respond to our needs or our requests, right, fairly easy as we're going through the scenarios. So I want to look at some of the questions in here. Some people have posted. Let me just see. Okay, let's see. So I have Tatiana. She says, wow, this is amazing. Makes me think about how we may leverage this AI scenario-based simulation for post-secondary classrooms. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great way. Mo Ash just wrote, I wasted months of my life creating situational leadership scenarios for learning games back in 2017. Yes, I think we have all spent years of our lives creating scenarios. Justin just shared that ChatGPT is helping finalize his book. I just finalized my book. I'm dragging my feet on publishing. I will get to it. I just have other things that I've been having to concentrate on. And let's see. What's the best recipe for PB&J? I'm sure that Destry, I'm sure that ChatGPT can give us that. Here, let me bring this over to this screen so you guys can see the chat because I'm just reading it to you. So this is from LinkedIn Live. Let's see. I want to see what else they have in here. Mind is buzzing with ideas. So if you guys have a specific scenario that you want to see in here, I'm happy to help you build it out. But as I said, I posted the link to my document, and I'll post it in here again. Let me just do this really quick. Let me get the share link again so you guys can have access to this and use this and play around with it. If you guys create a scenario, I would love to see what you create. And I feel like I've been looking up, and you guys are looking up my nose on LinkedIn Live here. I'll put it again because that didn't work the first time. Yeah, so I think that this is just an interesting use case. Let's see here. So Elvira has tested adding, do you know? And it does help with the prompt. Yeah, so asking, so you got to remember ChatGPT was trained on past data, right? So all of these AI are trained on data from the past. So they train them on a ton of data, but there comes a stopping point where you have to stop training the AI in order to launch it. But now there are these things called foundational models. And think of a foundational model like a library. So a foundational model is like a library that has a ton of books, and authors are writing new books and putting it into the library. From the library, it's like building the brain, the AI brain. And so the AI can then, the foundation model, that AI can use what it's learned to teach other AI systems, so it can bring it up to date and everyone can learn new things. So they become they're able to teach each other, I guess, if you think about that, group think, right? Group think probably isn't the right word, but group teaching, peer teaching. So the foundation model is like a big library with tons of data that's coming in the form of new books, and it's using that information that it's learning fairly quickly to train other AI models to help them get up to date on the latest information. So ChatGPT was trained on data up to, I think it was 2021. I think at one point I said 2019, but that was GPT was trained up to 2019. ChatGPT was trained up to 2021. And so anything after 2021, it doesn't have knowledge of it. So it has to learn that information. So the foundation models can be used to train these other AI systems so they can get this they can learn this new information and share it and answer questions and write about it. So that's it, guys. We have 3 minutes left because I wanted to keep this short for everyone because I know it's a Friday. So I hope that everyone has a happy Friday. If you have questions, message me. I always answer my messages. You can message me on YouTube, LinkedIn, or on TikTok. I'm streaming on all three right now. And as I said, I hope everyone has a great weekend. I hope you found this really helpful. For my LinkedIn peeps, I'll share that doc, this template right here. I'm going to share it in my link tree. So I'll put that up after this so you can have access to it. Feel free to download it. I just ask that you guys give me credit for this doc if you do end up using it, because I know a lot of time, it's just good to be a good citizen and give credit where credit is due, because I'm not selling this. So all I ask for is just credit for my work. So I hope that you guys found this useful. I hope you have a great weekend, and later. Bye, everyone. Let's see if I can get out of here now.